Hello, welcome to Surrogate Church. I'm Mary Ann, and we are actually at episode 6. This week, I'm sort of continuing from where I left off last week. In our last episode, there was a piece that I read, and it never made it to the air because we had some technical difficulties with our timing and the taping. So I'm going to read it today and move forward from there. The name of the piece is Playing Dumb, and it's actually the last piece that I wrote for Surrogate Church. Now, Surrogate Church, the process of writing this manuscript started when I conceived my sister's child. I was implanted with their embryo, and I wrote throughout that pregnancy. I served as her surrogate, and then I continued to write after the process, and I would say it was about a 5-year process before I actually felt complete with what I had set out to do. Now, one of the things I happen to do is when I read a story, I like to read the first chapter and then the last chapter. There's something about knowing where I'm heading that helps me to actually relax into the journey and fully enjoy the ride. And so I'm going to give you where I ended the book, and then we can relax into the rest of the process. So, Playing Dumb. I thought I was done writing, but then I realized I left out a significant piece of my spiritual development. I don't want to tell it, but that's usually a good indication that I need to. So here goes. I was at the soccer field watching travel tryouts when my friend Anita from India called me over and said, "I want you to meet my guru. He is visiting the United States." I felt truly honored. I said I would love to meet him. She said, "Come." I followed her to her van, and there he sat in his orange robe and white headdress. He took my hands. He said, "It is a pleasure to meet you." His eyes were kind, his spirit gentle. I felt held by his light. He seemed content, even though he was sitting in a minivan, in a parking lot, in a gown, in 95-degree weather. When I left the field, I couldn't stop thinking about him and Anita and the simplicity of it all. When I saw Anita the next day, I asked her why she wanted me to meet her Swami. She said, "I think you should talk to him. I think he will help you. Actually, I know he will." I asked, "What do you mean?" She then looked at me with an expression on her face that read, "Don't play dumb," and said, "I know your Ray." My heart smiled, but I continued to play dumb and asked, "What Ray?" She just shook her head and said, "You know what Ray." She told me she would arrange a meeting when he was visiting again. There is a Ray that I have come to know inside of me and in the heavens. It is the ray of love and wisdom. Wisdom born from observation, deep listening, and collective intelligence. Love born from acceptance, truth, and creative expression. I was 35 years old, pregnant with my son Sage, working with the adult mentally ill in a center where the director resonated with spirituality. She created a lunch hour meditation group for the staff. 7 women joined. We did exercises from the book, The Celestine Prophecy. I held a ring from a woman sitting next to me. I tuned into the vibration. A door opened in my brain, and information just started coming through. Recognition was immediate. I had no fear, no doubt. I suddenly had access to a universe of information, truthful, wise, and loving. I asked for clarification. What am I tapping into? The answer came. I was connecting to the ray of love and wisdom emanating from the Christ center of consciousness. I had access to the collective, the universal force of loving intelligence, guiding the evolution of humankind. The energy of my coworkers allowed me to open the door and become the channel. The group worked together, forming a magnetic council, pulling in healing information, emanating guidance and direction, activating our inner source of light. I brought the gift home to my family and only a few trusted friends. We began doing readings, and the guidance came simply by asking a question. The collective always showed up for souls on a quest. The information, profound and obvious, shifted perceptions, creating an opening of love and positive feelings. It shed light on wisdom that was already there, already known. It was just hidden, defended, protected, clearing the passageway to inner beauty and transcendence. The messages were initially separate from my consciousness. I couldn't remember what I said. Lee, my husband, served as my gatekeeper. He would take notes. He would bring me back by retelling the information given. I had and still have tremendous resistance in letting this gift be known. I do not want to be seen as having something special. I do not want anyone dependent on me for their truth. I do not want to be a guru. I come from a family of Italian spirit women, the seeing stregas, the healing witches who have psychic dreams, who get feelings, who pick up energy, who see energy, clear energy, read palms, have visions, do rituals to protect, to heal, and that's it. No spells, no curses, no magic. Good Catholic women with powers they dare not share with the church, kneeling down in the pew and praying, rising up in the kitchen and placing the oil on the forehead of the neighbor with the headache, saying the words that cast away malocchio, the evil eye of jealousy. Mystical women of the church, sacrificed throughout the ages. All powers had to be kept hidden. The collective worked with me. They gave me the directive to find the sacred in the mundane. They said they would start coming through more clearly in my conscious thought if I aligned my energy to pull them in. It would be my choice to vibrate with the ray. I knew how to do it. I could do it without hiding. Because it became a way of being, they told me that the information they illuminate is in me or in the person I am trying to guide. It took years for me to believe that. Actually, it is 11 years now, and I have finally come to understand that within me is a diamond amidst the layers of coal, a diamond in the rough that gives off a light that connects me to the Christ center of consciousness. Every time I play dumb, I dim my light. I dim my connection. I get lost in the dungeons of my mind. No more playing dumb. It's time to take the dare. There it is. My secret is out. I am a channel. In other words, a surrogate, a vessel through which the light of God can flow. Does that make me special? No, not really. I'm not just saying that to be humble, because there is a channel within each of us that connects to the other side of thinking. We all have the power to cross over into the right side of knowing and bring forth that which comes from God. What that something is? A baby, a book, a loaf of bread? Well, that's the dare. That's the action inspired by the feeling, infused with the goodness of God, the true foundation of Jesus, the revolutionaries' sacred teachings, pulled apart by the rack of the dark ages. This is the last piece I will write for this book. I probably should have told it earlier, but I thought I could get away with not writing it directly. But that's just dumb. And dumb means to be without a voice, an authentic one anyway. And for me, that is to be without peace. And to be without peace is to be without joy. And joy is divine. So I need to talk about joy, because it is the delicate flower in each of us, our essence, our beauty, our light, our connection to God. Joy is the gift of life, but it does not always come easy. This summer, we took the kids into the city to see Lion King. I felt joyful to be in the city, to be with the kids, to see a show, to go out to lunch. We went to Ellen's Stardust Diner, where the waiters all sing. I love diners. I love aspiring actors. I love show tunes. I love hearing people with beautiful voices sing, sing, sing. We sat together. The kids sensed my excitement. They started to get uncomfortable. They shushed me. They watched my every move. They were afraid that I would embarrass them with my idea of joyful expression. I understood their uneasiness. I've always been the family manager, serious and predictable. They're getting older. I'm getting older. I can loosen up a little. The head waiter started working the crowd, asking people, "Where are you from?" Lots of Long Islanders in the joint, very suburban. I hate feeling suburban. He asked, "Anyone here from out of state?" Spontaneously, I raised my hand. I don't know why. The kids gave me the death stare. "Where are you from?" he asked. "California," I shouted. "Wow, all the way from California?" The kids kicked me under the table. "How are you liking New York?" "We love it," I exclaimed. The waiter moved on. My daughter, Mary, collapsed onto the table in tears. "We are not a family that lies, and you just lied." Still lighthearted, I said, "It's not really a lie, because today I'm in a California state of mind." The other kids chimed in. "It's not funny, Mom. You think you're funny, but you're not." My joy started to diminish, but I held on. "I'm just playing. It's okay to be silly." My big girls looked at me with adolescent disgust. Lily said, "You're just trying to be like Aunt Paula, and you're not." Emma agreed. "Yeah, Mom, it really doesn't work for you." My joy was just about all gone. Then Sage piped in. "You're really a hypocrite, Mom. We're not allowed to lie, and then you lie." Done. I had had enough. I said, "Fine, I will tell the waiter we're from Babylon." I stood up. Lee put his hand on my shoulder, pushed me back into my seat, quietly said, "You are making it worse." That was it. My joy destroyed. I went dumb. Nothing left to say. all the moments from my life where my joy was squashed by the critical eye of others came flooding back. All the years of being good, restricting my behavior, controlling my spontaneity, watching and choosing and carefully finding the right words, standing, sitting, kneeling, all the years of feeling anxious that my joy could create discomfort, filled the core of me, and there was no diamond to be found, no ray of hope, just a cloud of silence, a wilted flower in the dark. With each passing day, another petal fell. I spoke when necessary. I did what was needed. I tried to be normal, but the sadness lingered. When September came, I returned to my writing group. Jen was in charge of leading our first assignment. She burst into the room carrying the most joyful creation I had ever seen. We all gasped. She giggled and said, "This is our writing group." She made it an orb of wooden vines filled with feathers, little lights, rainbow ribbons, sparkly jewels, hearts, and ladybugs, 6 tiny gift boxes, one for each of us, sticking out of the top. Words, lots of words, poetic, funny, playful, inside, outside, all around. A nest, a circle, messy, detailed, loud, a flow of inspiration. A womb, fertile with treasures from Michael's craft store. We randomly picked a ribbon, read the words attached to it, and wrote. My pick was, "Joy is not in things, it is in us." I knew I had to write the story of the Stardust Diner. My truthful pen, my pathway to peace. I remembered all the times I put a stop to my kids' loud, messy, wild, crazy, dumb expressions of joy. How many times have I shushed them because their chaos overwhelmed me, rattled my senses, hurt my need for quiet? It was then that I realized I too can be a killjoy. The light went on. Jen plugged it in. White Christmas lights illuminating a canvas, a painting on a bed of feathers, an image of me in a field of daisies, all inside the light. I'm not using metaphor here. Jen really did find this mini canvas and hand-painted a wild-haired goddess to represent me. And then she somehow put it inside the orb. The surprise message, the gift of rest, handwritten on my heart. I had been working so hard to fight the inner darkness, to find my intelligence, to activate my ray, when all I needed to do was open my eyes and see that I was being held inside the light of a joyous universe where I could play whatever I wanted, including dumb. I keep Jen's gift in my office behind my chair so my people can see it. I look at it every morning and it reminds me that the source of my light is meant to hold the weary traveler until the dawn breaks. The little girl Mary that I carried for Rosalie and Stephen, now 4 years old, sat in my office and looked up at Jen's creation and asked, "Mare, what's that?" I looked at her, shrugged my shoulders, and said, "I don't know. I love playing dumb with kids. I do it to help them find their smart." Then I asked her, "What do you think it is?" She examined it, stepped back, put her hands on her hips, and declared, "It is a light and happy thing." I agreed. "Yes, it is, just like you." Her eyes smiled brightly. The message received. When joy is in us, we can see it in things. So what am I trying to say? Lee sits down beside me. He sees I'm struggling. He says, "Come on, you're almost there." I'm so tired. I don't feel like I have anything smart to say. I'm rambling into the abyss of my super awareness. This is the ending. I can't end on a dumb note. I don't think he likes the story of the Stardust Diner, but I always tell the stories of how he lifts me up. One story about how he pushed me down isn't so bad. It shows both sides. He says, "Let's look together." I think of my client who ran the 26-mile New York City Marathon. She teaches me so much. She said that when she hit the last 3 miles, she couldn't go on. She collapsed into tears. A woman on the sidelines came to her and said, "We're going to do this together." She lifted her up and stayed with her throughout the final stretch. That story makes me cry. Lee says, "Don't hide behind your stories. It's time to just say it as you see it." Okay. I see both sides. Playing dumb can cause the purity of the voice to be lost, but playing dumb can make room for other voices to be found. Joy is in us, but joy can also be found in things. There is a guru in me, but I like Anita's guru better. I felt a moment of truth at the diner, but maybe that was just an illusion of truth, considering I did lie. I love the solitary path, but I am most moved by those who join me. How's that? Is it where I want to end? I don't know. I really don't. I like that I don't know. Mystery is at the heart of faith. It opens the channel to possibilities yet to be discovered. It unites the humble seekers and inspires the manifestation of light. I don't like when people preach absolute truths. It stirs a fury in me. It activates my warrior heart. I feel the danger in the energy behind the words spoken by those who claim to know it all. The authorities on God, playing smart, creating the illusion that they know better, using His word to instill fear, suppress knowledge, wipe out freedom, constricting the letter of His word, distorting the innocence of the message, speaking out so loudly that we are forced to ignore our own inner rays of wisdom, giving way to the practice of ignorance. I cannot ignore her anymore. The collective her, the countless women, good-spirited women over thousands of years who have suffered condemnation, excommunication, brutal murder because they dared to own their power and take their place in Jesus's church and teachings. The women of my line were in Italy when the church was first built in Rome, honoring God in quiet moments beneath the lemon trees, embracing the goddess in the healing waters on the island of Ischia. When the age of darkness descended, they were forced to choose. They had to accept the new ceremonies or go to the dungeons and die. Mary Magdalene, a woman born by the sea, a sacred visionary, was declared in 591 AD by Pope Gregory the Great to be the unnamed sinner. Her glory descended into the night. the women of my line were stripped of their passion to love God in their own words, through their own deeds, small and brave, joyful and healing. The virginal waters of their devotion to the teachings of both Mary and Jesus became contaminated by the men who desired power. Women forced to submit, they closed their eyes, laid down beneath the breath of the dragon, became impregnated with the red-hot fear of God. The fruit of their womb scorched, once considered sacred, now looked upon as evil. The choice: fight or flee. Anxiety, the curse put upon my women, the creation of hell on earth by man in order to gain control. This is the foundation upon which the church of today was built. No wonder the children have been forsaken. They hold the memory of innocence. No wonder the good church mothers could not see the danger. Their eyes had gone bad. Revelation, the book that scares me, holds the quote that opens my eyes to every woman who holds the sun above her, keeps the moon at her feet, wears a crown of light, and knows all too well the danger of the red dragon. Revelation 12:6. The women fled into the wilderness, where a place had been prepared for them by God so that they might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Women forced to choose. Choice 1. Give up their integrity and accept the holy waters. Choice 2. Pretend to follow the orders and secretly do their own practice. Choice 3. Flee into the woods where the mother would provide nourishment and the father protection. 1,260 days. That's about how long it has taken me to write this book. I talked to my daughter Emma, almost 16 years old, about the quote from Revelation. I say, I did not flee. I stayed. I didn't fight. I learned how to hide my power by playing dumb, and I lived every day in the fear of being found out. Then I look at her with her long, dark, wavy hair, her connection to the earth, her rejection of organized religion, her strong and steady warrior heart, and say, but I think you went into the woods and stayed true to your practice. Emma puts her hand over her heart and says, that makes me want to cry. I don't cry at stuff like this. Why am I crying? Her tears connect me back to the loss, ancient and true. Her tears confirm that the love from the Divine Mother is still with us, sleeping in our souls, waiting to be awakened by the kiss of recognition. I answer, maybe you are crying because you are remembering who you are. Something just woke up in you, and it's beautiful. My daughter Lily, 14 years old, with her cascades of long golden red curls, overhears and says, hey, I want a special connection to Mother Earth. Emma says, you're Lilith, queen of the fairies. I add, and during the dark times, I think you were out there fighting the men who tried to rob the women of their power. My daughter Mary chimes in, how about me? Emma answers, you didn't have to go into the woods because you were already in the woods. You were born in the woods and you lived your whole life in the woods. And actually, you still live in the woods, even though we're in suburbia. Mary, 9 years old with hair that looks like it was peeled off the bark of a redwood tree, asks, is that a compliment? I love that we are having this conversation. It makes me want to put out a call to all my fellow suburban mystics and ask, so did you fight? Did you play dumb? Did you run into the woods? Women of the earth, it is time for us to remember who we are, to come out of hiding, to come to the forefront in peace and simply reclaim the original teachings. We are the creators of life. We are loved unconditionally. We are directly connected to God. We are all connected to each other. We are the caretakers of the earth. It is time to come out of the woods. I am standing at the gate. I do not want to go through it alone. I can see both sides. Maybe that's what has called me to be a surrogate for her church, to embrace both Mary and Jesus, feminine and masculine, potential and kinetic, positively channeled energy in each and every heart, the breath of both, the oneness of love in all that we do. Collectively, we can give birth to the joyous word. Once forgotten, now remembered, it belongs to our children. Return to your altar, wherever that may be. Stand tall and let your word, in whatever form it takes, be spoken. Follow the inner compass, the one that holds the diamond, that admits the ray, that carries you to your very own light and happy thing. And when you get there, don't be afraid to take the dare. We'll all be waiting to see you again, to hear you again, to love you again. So Mary, I'm exhausted from that. So I am sitting on the couch. You have to be the talk show host today. Sorry. I've got nothing left. That was so exhausting. You just listened for 35 minutes of me reading that.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I thought it was good. I never knew I said that. Like, when I was 4 years old.
Do you remember? This is the piece.
I don't remember.
Look, this was what you looked at and you said, Mia, what's that? And you looked at it just like you're looking at it right now. And you said, it's a happy thing. So sweet. These are the words. Pick a word. What does yours say?
We can't all, and some of us don't. That's all there is to it.
What? We can't all, and some of us don't. That's all there is to it. What the heck does that mean?
I don't know.
That was your pick. That's your mystery to figure that out.
Yeah.
So last week, I'm going to make a confession. Last week, I read that piece and I left out about the collective because I don't like talking about that. And then we had all that technical difficulty. And I thought, okay, if I wrote it, I'm supposed to read it. And I'm supposed to be out and be real with who I am, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing I thought, last week you weren't here because you started studying for finals. And I said, I think you are kind of like my gatekeeper. You're my little anchor here on this show. You are so grounded. And I think you really help me to get a little more grounded. So that's why you're in the chair today.
Yeah.
So you know a little bit about the collective, right? So what do you know of them?
Like, they're like a kind of like a group of people, like not like one person, and they just like talk to you, I guess.
Have you ever spoken with them? Yes, I know that answer. What kind of things do you bring to the collective?
Like questions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how have you found them to be? Helpful, not helpful?
Yeah, they're like calm about it. It's not like something so like dramatic. They're just like, okay, everything's gonna be fine.
No judgment, right? Absolutely no judgment. And as a guiding force, it's very interesting because it's sort of like the way that I see the collective, which is this collective force of energy that we can tap into to inform us. They see the best, the potential best in all that we're striving for, and then help us to align with that and follow our course. They're like sort of navigators, map shifters. That's why today I brought my North Star with me. I love that nativity because it looks to the North Star and helps us to find that inner place of guidance when we can't find it. So when I was thinking about reading this piece, again, like your cousins said to me, who are so much my advisors, they said, you know what? That's a part of you that you have to kind of come out of the closet with, because it's part of what makes you closer to God, really. And I think we've all got that piece of God in us, and if we hide it too long, then it starts to work against us. So we have to have the courage to be out there with who we are, what our light and happy thing is. And the truth is, nothing makes me happier than helping people to really align with the most positive expression of who they are. Whether I'm doing it with my clients, the kids at school, or family, it's a very special kind of privilege that I'm given. So I'm ready to be a little bit more out there with it. So what else do you bring to the set today? Anything else you want to talk about? No? Nothing going on? No. So, all right. So then, until next time, all right, thanks, Mary. Thanks for being on. I love you. Go ahead, you could go watch from the studio audience. So here I am on the couch alone today. And I thought that it was time to just sit and be here on the set in a quieter way and do a little reflecting just on what this process has been for me. It's very interesting because having the guests, having the people on to talk with them brings so much excitement and joy, and it's very reminiscent for me of raising my family. When you raise 4 kids, there's always so much happening in the house, and even in the piece I read, for my own kids, they're in and out and friends and chaos. So much of that energy was so full. And I remember when they were little, sitting on the couch and just having them climb on me, sort of like my snake I've got today with me, but climb on me and feeling like I need some space, like peeling them off. I would say sensory moment. I can't have you all on me. And now, with all of them launched, and with my marriage coming to an end, I am on the couch alone. and it's very different. And in some ways, it's sad, but in others, it's okay because of this inner peace that I'm talking about. The search for the divine within allows room for things to change. At least that's how I'm feeling about it. And I look around my house. We're getting ready to sell our house as part of this separation. And people say to me, why don't you hold on to the house? It's your kids' house. Have them come home there. And I can't because the ghosts are too present. The wandering of the children's memories through the house, the times we shared as a family. I can't be there alone. I have to move on and start new. But as I move through the house, I think about what I am going to take with me, what kind of home I'm going to build inside of me based on the home that I've built outside of me. And so I look at Emma's bookshelf and I think of her and all the reading she would do, and I say, I'm going to take that bookshelf and that will be in my heart. Or I look at the wall of the stairs and I think of my Mary. When she was young, she would constantly draw these pictures on the wall, and we would paint over them, and she would draw again. And we were like, what are you doing? And she'd say, well, those are my cave markings. So I'm going to take the wall with the cave markings. And I look at the chandelier in my dining room, and I think of Lily and the way she would feel so free to scream when she didn't either like what we had for dinner or someone was chewing too loud and the whole chandelier would rattle. So I'm going to take the rattling chandelier. I want some windows, so I think I'm going to take the window in Sage's room. Because every time I punished him, every time he had to go to his room for a timeout, as a little kid, he would threaten me that he was going to climb out his window on the second floor. So I'm going to take that window. I need a bed, but I'm not going to take the marriage bed because that is not for me to take. But I will take Lee's desk where he wrote his dissertation and kind of rose into the scholar he was meant to be. That I'll take. Starting to build it. I'm starting to build the home within based on the truth that I lived. And it fills me. It really does fill me. So things change. But love doesn't. Love doesn't. And especially this journey of coming to know that love within, that the pure love of our divine nature, and then being able to step forward with it. That is the inspiration that I get from my religion. I was born a Catholic and I will die a Catholic, but I will fight against the corruption of our religion. And I take that from Jesus. Jesus was born a Jew and he died a Jew. And he had no problem calling out the institution on its indiscretions. And the search for what am I supposed to do with this divinity within me? What am I supposed to do with that? So much of my life, that divinity within me has been channeled to my children. And growing up, my kids were never scared of my anger. They would laugh at me when I got angry. Like, this is not good. You should get a little scared that your mother's going to get angry. And when I would talk to them about it, they'd say, no, Mom, we're never afraid of your anger, but we're terrified of your disappointment, of disappointing you. Terrified. So even the parts of us that are our divinity, if they're not kept in check, they can also hurt. They can also hurt. So that part of me that always saw the best in my kids, always saw their potential, encouraged them, pushed them forward, also left them feeling like they didn't have much room to disappoint me. And so this is the process for me, and it's part of the process of coming out, really coming out of the closet with this, I'm really tuned in to a certain knowing, and I'm ready to share it more with you because my couch is emptying. There's more room. There's more room on the couch. And so I'm going to close today's episode with a final piece. It's very short. It's called Home. Our school is doing The Wizard of Oz this year, actually coming up in the next couple of days. And so the idea of home has been very with me, and maybe that's part of what's led me to this conversation on the couch today. Home. It is in speaking the truth that we find our way home. For in each of us there lives a place from which all that is true originates. It is the source of higher knowing, and it is governed by love. It functions as a guide rather than a judge. It moves us in the little ways of God. It leads us to our most profound connections, and when we listen, we are one. Thank you for watching, and until next time, may you be very comfortable in your home. Good night.